If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Sort of a wild day on Capitol Hill yesterday, and it had nothing to do with President Trump even. On the one hand, Senate Judiciary Committee needs to bring Rusty the bailiff in over to the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings with all those shrieking, compensated protesters. And then on the other side, another Senate committee entertaining
Facebook and Twitter, right?
Gavin Belson and the other cast from Silicon Valley, yeah. But you got Alex Jones out there protesting Marco Rubio, trying to pick a fight with him literally in the hallway.
Well, it was so goofy because Marco Rubio was talking to reporters and Alex Jones was standing literally right inches from him doing his show.
Well, I think the bigger bias is against freedom of expression. Everybody should be. There's a look. I support going after.
It's happening here, but you say I don't exist.
Is that a heckler or a press gaggle?
Look at this guy. He's saying that I don't exist, and they're deplatforming.
I just don't know who you are, man.
And
I don't read your website.
Sure, and they demonize me in these very hearings, and then he plays dumb.
Here's the question.
Infowars.com, you know what it is.
Does Google, does Facebook, does
Promotion one.
do they need to be regulated like do they need to be regulated?
Marco Rubio, the snake. Little frat boy here.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Who are you, man?
Yeah, sure.
I swear to God, I don't
Yeah, you
know
better
who
hope you
are,
can
man.
deplatforming. Tens of millions of views.
Infowars.
Better than Rush Limbaugh. He
Promo
knows what
2.
Infowars is.
Promo 3.
Joke over here. That's why, and the deplatforming didn't work.
But here's the question. Here's a question.
Don't touch me again, man. I'm asking you not to touch me.
Well, sure, I'll just
Not
ask
touching
you.
you.
I know, but I don't want to be.
I'm not.
Oh, you want me to get arrested?
I don't know who you are.
It's not just going to take my
You're not
First
gonna get
Amendment.
arrested, man.
It's not just enough to take my First Amendment.
Myself.
Oh, he'll beat me up.
I didn't say that.
You didn't know who I am, but he's so mad. You're not going to silence me. You're not going to silence America.
But
You are literally like a little gangster thug.
there are people in this country.
Rubio just threatened to physically take care of me.
There are people who
Look at
feel
that.
that they're.
I mean, first of all, he sounds like mankind. Oh, look at that. He's throwing. I mean, Rubio's like, "Don't touch me. I'll take care of myself. I don't have to call police."
Yeah, I loved Alex Jones in the last season of Homeland. He was really good. But on the House side, they had an Alex Jones flack, some contributor to that crank conspiracy site show.
She's an InfoWars correspondent, right?
Yeah, she got up and was pleading for help from the big social media companies that are attempting to silence Alex Jones and company, like apparently Marco Rubio is, according to him. Didn't need Rusty the bailiff. Didn't need Marco Rubio because Missouri Congressman Billy Long was there, and Representative Long was an auctioneer in his pre-Congress life.
Chair now recognizes that. Order. We'll have order in the hearing room, or you'll be asked to leave. Ma'am, if you'll please take a seat, or we'll have to have you. Then you'll need to relieve.
Donald Trump, help us. Please help us, Mr. President, before it is too late. Because Jack Dorsey is trying to influence the election, to sway the election.
What's she saying? I can't understand her. What?
Steal the election. That is why he's censoring and shadow banning.
How about a Dan? 12 and a half, 15, 7 and a half, $20, 2 and a half, 5, 7 and a half, 30. Hit $30 down here, 2 and a half, 5, 35, 7 and a half, 40. Hit $40, 2 and a half, 5, 5, 45, 7 and a half, 50. Hit $50 down here, 2 and a half.
Officer, will you escort this young lady out, please?
Take Billy while you're at it. Having fun. He should follow her around all day doing that.
$80 to 5, 85, 90. Hit $100, 10, 10, 10 and a quarter, 1 and a quarter, 1 and a half, to divide to 2, 2 and a quarter. Hit 2 and a half, to divide 3, able to bomb 300. Hit 3 and a quarter. Cut 3 and a quarter now, half, 3 and a half, to divide 400. Hit but a 4, 4 and a quarter, 4 and a half. We're selling the cell phone there, 4 and a quarter, 4 and a half.
Selling her cell phone.
500, 5 and a quarter, 5 and a half. I yield back.
Oh. Spectacular.
Somehow I think our auctioneer in residence is going to get tweeted about today.
Yeah, I would say, and I think Jack Dorsey got some livestock as a parting gift. A bid on that. All right, for more on the circus, we're pleased to be joined by Ed Morrissey. He is the senior editor for HotAir.com and a columnist for the week. Ed, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Fun day yesterday. A lot of colorful characters, some members of Congress. But before we get to the Kavanaugh piece of it or the anonymous op-ed, all of that sort of overwhelmed Sandberg and Dorsey appearing before the Senate and the House to discuss something that is of real interest to the President of the United States, of some interest to the Justice Department, and that's how social media treats conservative content.
You know, it's interesting that everything did seem to overshadow that, even in the among the conservative commentariat. I mean, I think really because the Supreme Court appointment is really the bigger issue here. I think there's a lot of complaints about social media, but social media isn't necessarily an existential issue for conservatism in the way that the Supreme Court appointments are.
Well, did they accomplish anything yesterday in regards to social media and conservatives?
Well, I think we saw that Billy Long is a pretty good auctioneer.
Yeah, no question about that.
Besides raffling off the cell phone.
That was a brilliant move. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. But I mean, those congressional hearings aren't going to solve anything on this anyway. I mean, if Congress wants to take action on it, which I think is a bad idea, we could. That would be something. But this is basically just hauling people up there for a bit of a public beating, and they took their public beating. They went home. Google didn't show up for it, which was interesting. But Jack Dorsey showed up. He took a public beating. That's kind of what those types of congressional committee hearings are about. Is just basically posturing. And I don't think that they were there to do any sort of deep information gathering from Jack Dorsey and Sheryl Sandberg and the other executives that were showing up there. They were there to just basically berate them and tell them how to go out and do better. And that was to satisfy the outrage of their constituents, and I think that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's posturing from the politicians, and then it's prevarication from those testifying. I mean, it reminded me a little bit as I was watching it of all the tobacco executives that Congress lined up in a bygone era where they all in unison said that nicotine's not addictive. I mean, and then, but we're working on this and we're working on that. And that's sort of what you got from Sandberg and Dorsey. And oh, by the way, for those conservatives or conservative legislators, the president, the Department of Justice, that think this is an area of that should fall under their purview, and I agree with you, it shouldn't. Interesting piece in New York Post yesterday. Nearly half of millennials have deleted their Facebook apps.
Really?
The Facebook app. Again, one of these indomitable companies that is, cannot be competed with. And a lot of people are turning away from Facebook, and a lot of people have turned away from Twitter, and nothing is inexorable when it comes to the marketplace.
Absolutely, it's true. And remember, it used to be that MySpace was the inexorable social media platform, and Facebook supplanted that. These things are going to continue to move around. What I would say that Congress could take a little bit more interest in is antitrust actions when it comes to social media to make sure that Facebook isn't buying up its competitors, that Twitter isn't buying up its competitors, and that they're not trying to do vertical monopolies by buying up other types of social media in order to be able to move users around in them. And I think I think antitrust is a sleeper issue when it comes to small government, when it comes to fighting rent-seeking behavior that conservatives they've really been slow to wake up to, and I think it's something that they're going to have to start considering soon.
All right, yesterday the op-ed in the New York Times saying a whole laundry list of things that's wrong with President Trump and that we have to preserve our republic and our democracy. Do you think any ideas who that person may be? So far this morning, Pompeo, right, and Vice President Pence have come forward saying they are not the leakers.
How stupid.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good of a strategy that really is, but they're being asked, and so they don't want to fuel the speculation by not responding to it. It's one of those rock and a hard place situations for them, and I get that. Honestly, if you read this op-ed, and I did yesterday, there's nothing in there that hasn't been reported ad infinitum, ad nauseum by reporters in Washington prior to this. And Eric Wemple over at the Washington Post makes this point. It's basically something that is structuring the media narrative that's been going on for months anyway and just repositioning it as an insider view. I mean, it's practically written to appeal to the New York Times editorial board. And I think that's exactly what it was. I think it was written to appeal to them as a way of self-aggrandizing somebody who's probably a lower level senior administration official who's frustrated by his or her position in life at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it could be the preface to Bob Woodward's book. I mean, it's the hysteria that this whips up is interesting to me. But what's more interesting is we're 65 days out from the midterm elections. ABC, Washington Post poll this week has the Dem generic ballot, or the generic ballot plus 14 for Democrats. Are we starting to see a separation where we may have to reconsider the prospects of a blue wave that will come to states not named Illinois?
Well, I think so. This is something that's going to continue to change, too. There was another one that came out just that only had Democrats up 2. So there's a good question. My co-blogger, All Pundit, raised a really good question. Whether or not this was a reaction, this recent bump away from Republicans wasn't related to a sharp decline in Donald Trump's approval rating that surrounded the John McCain funeral and his reaction to it. And it's very possible that that's the case, in which case maybe that starts ticking back up and Republicans start ticking back up in the later on this month. I would say this, though. If you take a look at the lines on the congressional the congressional ballot, the generic ballot, the line that moves is the Democrat line, not the Republican line. The Republican line's been between 40 and 42% the entire time. And that's a problem for Republicans, because if there's going to be late breaking anything on this, what it's indicating is that it's going to be a break towards the Democrats. I say that you have to be very concerned that there's going to be a blue wave in November.
Is this why you heard and read some reports yesterday about revisiting Tax Cuts 2.0 before November 6th?
Yeah, I think that they want to emphasize that. I don't think it'll get through because they're trying to push through the budget. They're trying to get the budget done under normal order or regular order for the first time in like 20 years. And they're making progress on that. I don't know that they want to throw that into chaos by bringing in a tax cut package, but I think they want to talk about it, and I think they want to make an effort at it just to make sure that people remember that there's a difference between Republicans and Democrats on this. It's not a bad move. I'm not necessarily sure that that's the dynamic that we're looking at right now, though.
Quickly, before the elections, do you think the Mueller Russian investigation will be wrapped up before then? We're hearing now that President Trump will submit answers to questions in a written form and not meet face-to-face with Mueller.
I think we're coming too close to the election, and I think Mueller will wait. Frankly, I don't know that there's any real reason now to rush. We're after Labor Day, and it's a very short time period. I think he's going to want to take his time writing whatever report he's going to write to Rod Rosenstein. And so I suspect that we're not going to see anything maybe until Christmas or maybe even later than that. He is
Ed Morrissey, senior editor for HotAir.com, columnist for the week. Ed, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Earnings vary based on